Tonight on KGW News, firefighters save a woman and her dog from a burning home.
My little heart started tickling real fast.
Tonight we hear from neighbors who helped with the rescue. Plus, more human remains discovered in a southwest Washington forest. Why authorities think they have some answers. Then, freeing up resources for those who really need them.
You reduce the number of calls, you have more units available for the life-threatening emergency.
The new type of help that now might be available when you call 911. Good evening. We begin at 11 with a harrowing rescue by Portland firefighters. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco. Catherine Cook shows us how they brought a woman and her dog to safety with the help of her neighbors.
Oh, thank God! Thank you!
Cries of relief from loved ones Tuesday morning as Portland firefighters emerged from this burning house with a woman clutching her little dog. Crews say she'd been trapped in the burning basement.
Those basements are small and very hot. It's like an oven. There's nowhere really for the heat to go.
Lieutenant Kurt Smith says the fire started in some bushes behind the house near Southeast 84th and Alder. Neighbor Nathaniel Hardy remembers.
It was a ball of black smoke that came out from the back of the corner, and we heard like 3 explosions.
The fire spread to the home, starting in the basement, then up to the attic. A police officer got here first. He tried to rescue the woman, but the smoke and heat were too much and kept him out. Even firefighters encountered challenges, like finding the entrance to the unique rear basement.
Fortunately, when we were here, there was several bystanders who were very helpful in assisting us where the basement location was.
That includes Nathaniel.
Got him to where we could actually get around and get to the basement to get her out.
In that moment, Nathaniel says he drew from his time as a volunteer firefighter.
Honestly, I was scared because of seeing the fire blocking her in and not knowing that she was going to be able to get out. It was like my little heart started tickling real fast.
Once inside, crews dealt with poor visibility.
He said it was very smoky. He could only see 10, 12 inches in front of his face.
But then they found the woman.
So she was in a bathroom with a closed door, which is absolutely vital.
With just enough breathing room, they guided the woman and her dog around the flames and up the stairs to daylight.
And this is what we do. This is what we train for. And now we just need to figure out how this started.
And crews are still investigating how the fire started. No one was injured. They say the woman and her dog were taken to the hospital to get checked out, but seem to be doing okay. David.
Thank goodness for that. Thank you, Catherine. All right, this just into the KGW newsroom. Vancouver police are looking for a missing 23-year-old. Colton McFadden is considered endangered and was last seen around 4:30 this afternoon leaving Wildwood Park. He's 5'10", 142 pounds with brown hair and blue eyes. Police say he was wearing a red T-shirt with Hurley on the front. You see it there, khaki shorts and black shoes. If you see him, call 911. Tonight, the Portland police still have not found a suspect they say shot a woman in southeast Portland. That's despite a search that had the neighborhood on lockdown for much of the day. Now, after 6 this evening, police lifted a shelter-in-place order for those living near southeast 136th and Ramona, that's in the Palhurst-Gilbert neighborhood. This all started just after 8:30 this morning when a woman was shot and taken to the hospital. She later died from her injuries. Police searched for the suspect, believed to be armed and dangerous, for more than 6 hours. Officers set up a perimeter. It included 2 schools. That meant students and staff were not allowed to leave before police cleared the area.
I have met the victim walking our children to and from school, but just even knowing that it was someone that lived close to me was disheartening. And then when I heard who it was, it just really makes me sad.
Yeah, a lot of folks left on edge most of the day. Police have not released any description of the suspect or said if the shooter and the victim knew each other. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, a Southwest Washington man has been sentenced to 4 months in jail for his role in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. 36-year-old Benjamin Silva of Yacold pleaded guilty to a felony charge of civil disorder. Prosecutors say Silva was recorded on video with a crowd of rioters near an entrance to the building. Silva is also required to pay $2,000 in restitution. Authorities have released a new photo of the suspected arsonist who's now been charged with setting a destructive wildfire in Wasco County. A warrant has been issued for the arrest of 51-year-old Christopher Menely after he failed to show up in court on Monday. The DA says the suspect was squatting on property near the community of Friend when he allegedly started what became the Larch Creek fire. That blaze forced evacuations and went on to burn more than 18,000 acres. And the decision over whether to block supermarket giants Kroger and Albertsons from merging is now in the hands of a federal judge. Closing arguments wrapped up today in Portland as the Federal Trade Commission argued the merger would result in higher prices for consumers, with Kroger CEO testifying it would mean the opposite. We expect a judge to make a decision on whether to temporarily block the merger as other cases, including one in Washington, play out. New tonight in Clackamas County, nurses will now be handling some calls made to 911 in an effort to free up resources for the most critical of emergencies. Alma McCarty's in the newsroom. Alma, this is meant to speed things up for everyone.
Yeah, well, David, I am told that people most in need of help after suffering a heart attack, a stroke, an allergic reaction, or other urgent or life-threatening emergency won't see any difference in response other than possibly faster response times.
In the event of an emergency, we're told to call 911.
However, sometimes people call 911 for low acuity calls that maybe an emergent ambulance response isn't the best option for them.
Because dispatchers say they're getting more of these less serious calls. In Clackamas County, some callers might get transferred to what's called a nurse navigator, someone licensed and trained to provide the most appropriate kind of care.
We don't want to ignore these calls. People are calling for a reason.
Bill Conway, the Public Health Emergency Services Manager for the county, explains it's one of the short-term solutions to a shortage of paramedics and first responders.
So improving staffing and adding ambulances is one answer to the EMS issue. But we think that another answer is to actually better utilize the resources that we currently have. And the nurse navigation program is going to allow us to do that.
If an operator determines an ambulance isn't the way to go, a nurse will offer other assistance, like a referral to a clinic or primary care, or scheduling transportation to an appointment, or setting up a virtual one.
There's lots of really good options that are appropriate and actually more beneficial to the patient versus waiting in an emergency department where they may or may not get what they're looking for.
Last year, Clark County dispatchers launched a similar program, one of the many Conway says that they look to for guidance.
Every single one of them were very pleased with the outcome.
The point is a simple one, a faster response for those who need it most.
That's the whole idea, right? So we're taking all these calls that would normally get an ambulance and possibly a fire resource. We're taking them completely out of the 911 system. So what we're hoping is that results, you reduce the number of calls, you have more units available for the life-threatening emergencies.
And when it comes to cost, Conway says there's none for the caller, including if they need transport, like a ride to a clinic appointment the nurse navigator schedules for them. Now, there would be, of course, a cost for the actual doctor's appointment. David?
Yeah, but it's good to hear people talking about solutions. Thank you, Alma. Developing tonight for the third time in 2 months, human remains have been discovered in Washington's Gifford-Pinchot National Forest. And while officials think they can identify 2 of the people they belong to, they're still trying to figure out the third. On Saturday, the Skamania County Sheriff's Office found what it believes to be the remains of 69-year-old John Hopkins from the Seattle area. He went missing in November 2022. Earlier this month, a bear hunter found human remains near the Sawtooth Berry Falls. And then in August, a hiker located remains near the Big Lava Beds. Those are believed to belong to missing hiker Christopher Zitovitz.
Being able to bring closure to a family and bringing somebody home, even if it's only a portion of them, I can't imagine what kind of relief and closure that they are able to experience.
Well, officials say they have no reason to believe any of the cases are connected. The sheriff's office says it has a list of at least a dozen other people that were reported missing in the forest dating back to the mid-1980s. Negotiations resumed today in the ongoing Boeing strike, with more than 30,000 aerospace machinists still on the picket lines and the manufacture of key aircraft essentially grinding to a halt. Now, as far as we know, the company and their union remain at odds, in particular over the size of a pay increase over the course of a new 4-year contract. But here's what the union's international president said today.
With the new CEO, let's give him a chance that he makes the right decision here. Look, this strike can be settled tomorrow. And Boeing knows what it's going to take to settle this strike. And then they can come to the table and we can get back to work, or the strike can continue. But the ball's in Boeing's court.
Well, meanwhile, as we've been reporting, Boeing is now eyeing cuts, including temporary furloughs, to preserve cash flow during the strike. Straight ahead at 11, speaking of cash, couples out hundreds of dollars ahead of their big day. Why a quirky local dessert company is saying no more s'mores to some brides-to-be. Plus, spotting a brand new orca calf, likely just 2 or 3 days old. Matt?
Well, that's pretty exciting. We're going to go back to spotting the sunshine as we go through the rest of the week. Lots of clouds today. Has a little bit of clearing over in the Dalles, but boy, the window's howling out there. That'll settle down. The showers are ending now. And other than some morning clouds and fog, we got some great weather to finish off the week and the season.